You know when you think someone's perfect and then you find out that they were a murderer all along? No, is that just me? Just me and Donald Trump? He's certainly feeling that feeling. Former congressional candidate Daniel Rodimer, who had at one point received Donald Trump's complete and total endorsement, has just turned himself into the authorities in Las Vegas after being charged with murder. Here is the tweet where Donald Trump endorsed the guy, saying he'll be an incredible congressman, a former professional wrestler, sort of. He will fight for lower taxes, better education, and more capital J jobs. And he'll support our brave law enforcement. Well, he'll certainly give them more work to do, if nothing else. But here is what we're talking about when we talk about murder. Rodimer, who is suspected in the killing of 47-year-old Christopher Tapp back in October of last year. So Tapp allegedly offered cocaine to Rodimer's stepdaughter during a party at a resort. Tapp previously served 2 decades in prison after being convicted of rape and murder charges that DNA evidence later proved false. So obviously this is a troubled guy as well. So all of that, being understood. A witness attending the party in Tapp's suite overheard Rodimer telling Tapp, "If you ever talk to my daughter again, I'll expletive kill you." An additional witness said that she heard Dan knock Christopher to the ground, at which time Christopher's head hit a small table. Oh, well, it's only a small table. And then he continued to punch Christopher throughout his head and body. And a lot of that is damning. But it's not nearly as damning as this. So they found text messages between Rodimer and his wife that are slightly suspicious. I'm gonna read this text message for you and you tell me if you can see the suspicious part. The wife says, "I watched you murder somebody, like let that sink in, you blanking psychopath." So a little bit damning. In any event, as was said earlier, he was technically a professional wrestler before he entered politics. He had a 1-year developmental degree with the equivalent of the WWE's Farm League. It's not like he was headlining WrestleMania, but he ran 2 unsuccessful campaigns for Congress. So that's 2020 campaign in Nevada and the January 2021 special election for Texas's 6th congressional district. So on top of everything, including possibly murder, he seems like a bit of a carpetbagger. Before we continue with the story, we depend on members to keep on going. Don't wait, click join now on YouTube. Even before his first run, because you might be thinking, you can't really get on Donald Trump for endorsing this guy for later maybe murdering someone. So he had already been accused of assault, not convicted at that point, but he had boasted publicly that he liked to F people up. And of course, why would that stop Donald Trump from endorsing him? These are the sorts of people they want to fill government with. Grifters and liars and people there to dismantle the administrative state and violent thugs. He would hardly have been the first. Farron, what do you think?
Look, like you said, obviously this guy was like the #1 professional wrestler in the country. That's actually like one of the sports like I don't know anything about, so I don't know any of that. But did you really, if you were at least trained somewhat in wrestling in any way, did you have to like beat the guy to death allegedly? Could you have not like kind of wrapped him up and restrained him and said, I've got him, he's not gonna give cocaine to anybody tonight? I mean, it just seems overly extreme, especially because you were at his party.
Yeah.
So the smart thing to do, instead of allegedly murdering somebody, is say, hey, stepdaughter, we're out of here, party's over, let's leave. And then you leave and you no longer associate with that person whatsoever, and everybody gets to still be alive. Like that's probably the best outcome. So I don't know how that broke down. I don't know what happened, but obviously if of course, because these are alleged, we gotta be super careful about saying that. If this guy is convicted, I think the first thing we need, and possibly even before conviction, let's get a good mental health evaluation, because your first instinct should not be to murder somebody.
Yeah.
So that, your first instinct shouldn't even be insane violence. So that's what we really need to get to the heart of. Like, is something wrong with him? Is there something that we can, get him help for, rather than just shoving him off into a prison and saying, all right, well, we'll see you in 20 years. And that's kind of the problem with this, is that a lot of these crimes that are committed, it's just, okay, now you're in lockdown for a few decades and we'll see you when you get out. And people don't actually get the help that they need. So I think that's what kind of needs to happen here, because this is not a normal response to a situation like what is described in this incident.
Not for a normal person at the very
Right.
least. And again, as you said, allegations. We don't know exactly what happened. Maybe there were extenuating circumstances that even if he did it, merited it. I can't come up with what those would be, but we don't pass total judgment. All I'm saying is, and this is based on the speculation, is there is too much acceptance for people like this on the right. And I have no doubt that while we're condemning this guy, at least if the allegations are true, like, does anyone think that like Matt Walsh isn't gonna do like a positive segment about this guy? Like, yeah, somebody offered drugs, so you kill him. That's what we should have as our Congress people. I don't doubt it at all.